but Sunday. Oh, look at you
There you go,
repping.
Chamber. Yeah, I don't think Connect Here is still your logo, still your slogan, but you know, give me another cup and I'll use that one on the podcast.
And send us our $100 check for advertising in the mail, please, Mr. Spurgeon. Make it out to Gabe Hart.
Yeah, there you go.
$100. That is a very nice mug, though. Keeps your drink cool out there in
It
the
does.
in this mid-August heat. By the way, Brandon, I'm going to ask you this because we usually start off talking about wrestling or something else, but this just popped in my head.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite month of the year, like a month that you just hate and that feels forever?
All right. January is my birthday.
Okay,
Maybe February.
that's a good pick.
March is a good one for basketball tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
April. I mean, neither February nor April. I mean, I don't dislike them. Um, May, June, July is all about America, but it's hot.
So
It's
hot.
hot. I mean, in fact, I was just thinking walking into church this morning because I'm always thinking the 8 or 9 Sunday mornings that is July and August. Those are the 9 most dreadful Sunday mornings of the year because I try not to wear shorts to church, so I'm trying to wear blue jeans and
Ooh.
usually 2 shirts. I try not to wear a t-shirt either. I try to look. I mean, I'm not walking in with a suit and tie, old school um, Sunday best type stuff, but I'm also not walking in like I'm Chuck Walker walking into a city council meeting either.
Some
So,
flip flops, some slides on.
um, and as I'm walking in, and we got 4 kids that are in diapers in a wagon, and I'm pushing them. It's like I hate this time of year. I hate this time of year. So I guess I'm going to go with August because football season's not here yet, but it's kind of ramping up. So yeah, let's say late July, early August.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it right.
Yeah.
August is the worst month by far out of the 12. February is a close second for me.
Hmm.
August is the worst. And I am, school starts back. Back in the day before Jordan lived with me full time, she would have to go back. So that was always terrible. Then it is like, for a sports perspective, there is nothing going on. Like, you're
I mean,
close
unless you're
to
a
foot,
baseball fan.
but even in August, like, it's not September, so you're not there's
In the
not that
playoff
many
hunt.
pennant races going. And then if your team's out, like, your team's not going to make it, then that's pretty miserable, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's just August is awful, and I think there's 5 weekends in this particular one, so it's
But
going to be even more
August
fun.
31st is the first Saturday of college football season, so at least there's that. I will.
Counting down.
There is a regular listener of the pod that has come out of that closet to both you and me separately in person in the last few weeks. It's probably not going to like me saying this publicly, but when there was still a minor league baseball team in town, first half of the season, All Star break is in like late June, early July. Second half of the season, particularly if the team was not doing well, uh, all the conversation going on in the press box during those July and early August days were high school football, what's going to be happening, how's Huntington looking this year, Milan, blah, blah, blah. There was very little talk about actual baseball going on right in front of our eyes.
Football's
So,
king, man. Like, it is the national pastime now, right? It's not baseball is not that anymore. There was a time when it was. It is not
mm-hmm.
that anymore. People love football. I loved baseball growing up. Football is king for me now. Like, as far as just following it, like, I've got somehow one more year of Aaron Rodgers. I didn't think I'd have that. I got one more year. I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to try to at least. I
Have you
still
gotten a
love Green
terrible
Bay.
towel yet?
No, but I've got JCM's version of a terrible towel. It was
There
yellow.
you
We
go.
had him last year, so I've got that. But I still need to get like the real terrible towel. But yeah, no, I'm with you. August, you're the worst, and we're not even halfway through you yet. So,
And we didn't even discuss back to school. Now, see, for that part, now that I'm an adult, that's my favorite part of August.
not
Get those
bad.
kids out of my house.
It's what Laura says all the time. Because, but up there, they go to school in September. They don't go back until like the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Oh wow. What's your
Yeah.
favorite month?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love June, and not just because of the summer, but it's like everything is blooming at that point. It's not miserably hot. It's, I don't know. The light
It's
is
getting
really
there.
bright. It's getting there. I don't know. I also really like October. I really like October. That's our birthday. I like changing of the seasons when it finally cools off a little bit, and there's football. So, what about yours?
Oh, no, no discussion needed. It's October
Hmm.
because football, World Series, NBA is starting up. If you're a hockey fan, that's starting up.
Yeah.
Um, the temperature wise, there's usually 2 or 3 weeks where everything's perfect. That's
Hmm.
when the leaves change, the 2 weeks where the leaves really changing. And there's always during that time at least 2 or 3 days where it's just like, yeah, God's giving us a little bit of heaven here.
It's
And
good.
like he's
October's
like, this is what eternity is going to be like if you follow Jesus. So,
October.
uh,
Well,
yes,
October in specific parts of the world, right? Because October isn't like that everywhere, but here,
hey,
it's perfect for a few
do
months.
not stop being a contrarian.
I'm just saying. In Australia, I think it's really hot and dry. I don't
Well, then maybe they love August then.
know. Oh, yeah, October is. You're right. Like, if there is any month that God ordained to be an example of what will come next, it's the month that I was born in. So it tracks. It all tracks.
And then maybe in heaven we'll eat candy all the time too,
I
like
don't
we
know
do
about
down
that.
here when we're worshiping Satan, running around to the houses with our kids.
Trick or treat. Trick or treat. Oh, man. We had a slow news week this week, Brandon, before we get into it, didn't we?
Yeah,
Not a lot
had a few
happened.
lazy days where I just took off early and went to the house. So
Yeah, there wasn't much going on. Just kidding. Let's before we even do the rundown, I think I need to call attention to this cover of the Jackson Post. When I pulled it out of the mailbox yesterday, Friday maybe, I
mm,
said this looks like a paper that I would save, and not because of the news that's on it, obviously, because the situation that we will cover in detail here in a few minutes was tragic and scary and sad, like all of those things at the same time.
yeah,
Um, but it was probably the biggest news story that we've had here in the community in a long time. Um, would you agree with that?
yeah,
As far as how widespread it got in the national media as well.
yeah. I mean, I went down to Alabama on Saturday this weekend, and so I had about 4 or 5 hours total in the car, and by myself. And at some point, I was thinking about just all the national attention when we get to December and we're doing the end of the year stuff, looking back on the year, and I'm doing the top 10 stories in Jackson this year. I'm like, is this going to be number one? Because I mean, we've had some big stuff. I mean, we had the budget thing with the
Hmm.
city, Pope School opening, um, and just a bunch of other stuff going on. And so I'm like, okay, does the fact that for a week or so, Jackson, Tennessee was getting on ABC World News Tonight, does that make this story the number one story? Obviously, it's going to be in on the short list. Um, and if anybody wants to email me at Brandon at Jackson Post News, JacksonPost.news, and let me know your opinion, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I mean, it's just with, I mean, 4 people tragically killed, a baby abandoned, a week long manhunt, people with AR rifles running around in the woods in North Jackson. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm thinking there's probably people running around with AR rifles in the woods of Jackson and other parts of Jackson more often than we like to think. But
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
like
this,
this. Not checking doors and seeing if there's a place to hide and
yeah,
yeah, it's that even I don't get really wrapped up in that stuff. Like I was never scared. Like my mom was like legitimately scared. Jordan, whenever she would come home, she was like, I would check the corners of our porch before I walked up. I'm like, ain't nobody hiding down here. But when I saw the security footage on some of those cameras, I thought
yeah,
that was concerning to me.
yeah,
That the visual of that made me feel a certain way. So it was. If I would have lived out north, I think I would have felt a lot differently too. You
yeah.
know.
And
So
I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't think he'll mind me saying this because he wound up putting it on his own Facebook page. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about Monday during the initial search after they had some intelligence and evidence suggesting he was somewhere around the Union Cherry Grove Apartments area. But at the end of the day, and we're hearing all these rumors. There were a bunch of people, not just media, but also a bunch of, I'm assuming, social influencer type people who were covering the case. And so we were hearing a lot of rumors about, the reason why Walgreens shut down for the afternoon is because he's on their security camera walking out of there with a armload of snacks and alcohol. And, we were hearing just all this stuff. But then at the end of the day, Ray Condrey, who ran for mayor a couple of years ago, and he lives in that area, he and I were texting. He said, "Hey, check out what I just found on my security footage," and it was the clip that he put on his Facebook page of about, I think, 4:29 Monday morning, and it's grainy because it's an old camera, and he's just Drummond comes out from behind a shed on the corner of his garage or whatever, on the corner of his property, and his feet are barely in the camera. But based on other footage, it looks exactly like the shoes that he was wearing that morning. And I said, "Who all have you sent this to?" He said, "Just you and a couple of friends." I said, "Get this to law enforcement right now." And so and it was within hour and a half, 2 hours that JPD was putting it out on their Facebook page. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, dang, because I'll go ahead and tell you, one of the rumors that we heard was that the SWAT team got to him, but before they got to him, he had already ended things himself.
Oh, what? That was a rumor that was that? See, those are the things that I really want to get in, because there was so much stuff out there, even on social media, and it was, the coverage of this was really weird. And I say I want to put coverage in quotes because I feel like we did a really good job with actually following what the facts were. What we knew up to points. But there were other people, man. You talk about conjecture, boy, or not even conjecture, just the resharing of the same information, but almost in a sensationalized way to make you click it. But then it's just like this hamster wheel going nowhere when you really need new, fresh information. If you don't have that, don't put anything else out there.
Yeah.
But no, I have not seen that from Ray. I'm still waiting on him to accept my friend request on Facebook. So if he's watching this, just hit approve, man.
Hey, when he was on the Shields report, y'all had a very productive, good quality conversation. Two people that were never going to agree, but y'all did a good job of making your cases and being civil about it. And so the fact that y'all aren't friends, that's sad.
Brandon, I've come a long way since the Rock and No meeting of 5 years ago. I can have civil conversations.
Oh, I was expecting that day to have to run to the bathroom and keep you and Ray from fighting.
Wasn't Ray? It was.
No, I'm saying, but
I see.
2 years ago, I was expecting to have to.
I got you. No, all peace. All right, here's the rundown for tonight. So obviously, we're gonna talk all things Austin Drummond, the timeline of events, of how it all started, how it all ended, to this point at least. And then, Brandon, your experience a little bit last Monday out there covering live when they were shutting down Pleasant Plains Extended and they were in the woods looking for him. The press conference, the Q&A, which, there wasn't a lot of new information out there, but we can talk about what you heard there. You interviewed the officers who apprehended him, one of whom I know personally. So kind of talk through what they said, what their feelings were about it, all that, and then where we are now, most importantly. So everything leading up to where we are now, looking ahead to a hearing this coming Thursday that you will be covering.
I was going to say, before we put a bow on it, we'll discuss the arraignment from this past Thursday, August the 7th. That sets up the source hearing that's going to happen on August 14th. And then probably next Sunday. I don't know. I'm open to you and me having what a college football podcast that I listen to would call an emergency pod. Maybe Thursday afternoon if we can both fit it in our schedules. But we're not going to commit to anything just yet.
No, I will be moving Jordan into UTC Thursday afternoon. So
we're not doing that then. Yeah,
maybe Thursday night. I may be done. 10 o'clock Eastern, and in my hotel room. So that's a possibility. Um, if we have time, after all the Drummond stuff tonight, we are going to discuss Christine Chapman's had a plaque dedicated to her
Hmm.
in East Jackson. Uh, the
Historical
latest
marker.
historical marker.
Yeah.
The latest city council meeting with some public comment about a couple of decisions city council voted on that certain parts of the public weren't too thrilled about, so we can discuss that.
Right.
Pope School finally opened. The new Pope did. We
Hmm.
can talk about that, minus the carpool debacle of Monday afternoon, and then
My story
if
focused on open house before the carpool
oh,
debacle.
okay. And let me just say this about carpool debacles. When Northeast opened the academic academy, and we essentially had a school within a school over there off of Christmasville,
Right.
we knew that carpool was going to be a disaster. We just knew it because that's just what happens when you put a bunch of kids in a brand new building with parents who
Hmm.
have never done the route before, with a school who's never seen the route done in real time. You're just going to have issues like that. I
Yeah.
completely expect Pope to have all of those ironed, and they may already have them all the way ironed out. Now, that's just a day one thing, and people are freaking
Yeah.
out. I'm like, listen, that's just what happens no matter what the school is. Anytime there's an influx of that many kids into the building.
Hey, South Gibson Elementary has been in its current building for 6, 7 years now. Us Medina people, we still can't figure out drop off line until about week 3 of the school
Yeah,
year.
that's just what
So
happens.
I think part of that is for some reason, um, I'm having issues with it this year, especially because I've got two in the grades, a boy and a girl. But the pre-K kids and the kindergarten, they don't just drop the kids off in the deep end and just start school like everybody else, like we all did. No, for whatever reason, we've got to let the boys go one day and then the
Oh
girls
yeah,
go the next, and we've got to, and they alternate for about a week and a half for some reason. So, yeah, I
that's a
think
pain. That's a pain for parents
that
for sure.
lengthens the growing pains for us Medina parents figuring out how to wait for the um, traffic cops people to tell us to go in and then leave after we drop them off.
Y'all have it figured out by God's month of October. It's smooth sailing.
Maybe.
Hopefully, maybe. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to start from the beginning of the Austin Drummond situation. Wade, this stretches back. What? How, is it almost 3 weeks at this point, or is
Two
it
weeks.
just two? 2 weeks.
July
Okay.
29th is the day that this all really started.
That's when the baby was found in the front yard. Okay, so
Right.
we'll just start there. Do you remember hearing like that when
Hmm.
that happened? Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
we'll just start there and let you, I guess, work us all through up until this point, and I may jump in if I have some questions or something. But July 29th is when all this kicked off.
Yeah. And if you've got the paper in front of you, I don't have it here with me. I probably should have
Okay,
gotten a copy. If I skip over anything big in the timeline, feel free to.
got
Um,
it.
but if you've been living under a rock and you totally missed all of this, July 29th, about 3 o'clock, that was Tuesday, as we are recording this on Sunday night, 12 days ago. Dyer County sheriffs get a call that a infant female in a car seat was found in a random front yard of a home in Dyer County near the Crockett County line. And so the Dyer County sheriffs, they don't typically, in situations of an abandoned child, they don't typically publish the photos of children like that. But they were trying to find out who the parents were. So, and just like, okay, we got a baby here. Who's responsible for it? Let's put the child on blast, and surely somebody in the county will say, "Hey, yeah, we know whose parents that is." And that's what they did. And within an hour, they had the family identified. Um, and so they didn't say who the family was or anything. They just said, "Hey, we've made contact with the family. Thank you for the help." And I just kind of thought, okay, that's it. And then I think about 8 o'clock that night, we get notification that up in Lake County, which is, for those not necessarily familiar with the exact geography of rural West Tennessee, Lake County is directly north of Dyer County, just north of the town of Tiptonville on Carrington Road. At the time, they just said 4 bodies have been found on Carrington Road. I don't. Maybe it was later that night that they said these 2 things are connected, or it may have been the next day that they said that they revealed that. So they're asking the public for help and being like, what could happen, what could have happened. They weren't even saying who was dead or anything like that, or what relation they were to the baby. We find out Wednesday, I think. They might have waited till Thursday to say, okay, so the 4 people whose bodies we found, 2 of them were the baby's parents, and the brother of the mother. I think last week on the podcast I said the brother of the dad, but the brother of the mother, and then the mother's mother, so the maternal grandmother, were all found dead. They didn't say how they died. I think they just said they were found in a car on Carrington Road. And from everything that I saw, and I'll credit Bert Staggs with this, who does a lot with cases like this. He posted some photos and video of Carrington Road, which looks like it's nowhere near any kind of area of civilization, which, with all due respect to Lake County, not a lot of Lake County looks like it's anywhere near any kind of civilization. So, we'll find out more at the source hearing this Thursday about the situations they found them in. We would later find out that they died by a gunshot wound. But on Thursday, July 31st, they announced we are looking for Austin Drummond of Jackson. He's wanted in connection. He has a criminal history. He was actually out on parole from the state prison up in Tiptonville. He's considered armed and dangerous. And by the end of the day, he was on the Tennessee's or the TBI most wanted list.
I want to interject something real quick here. So this is within 48 hours. This is what kind of amazes me about. And you wrote a column about how well the law enforcement agencies work together with this. But this amazes me about law enforcement in situations like this. You've like from the very beginning of just finding a random infant in a yard. They figured out who the parents were. Then they had to connect the dots to get to a completely different county from where the child was found.
Yeah, because I think all 4 of the deceased lived in Dyer County.
Right.
So, yeah.
And to find this car in, the backwoods of Lake County, to get all of that information that quickly and then have a person of interest within 48 hours is really impressive. And it's fascinating to me from the outside just to see how quickly they were able to connect all those dots.
My thinking on Sunday night is when we get to the source hearing Thursday morning, we'll start to hear some more of the evidence or the circumstances about what they saw on Carrington Road, and it'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not that big of a leap, because I mean, when we get to the press conference part of this story, we're going to discuss how they're keeping a tight lip on a lot of this case so far. I'm amazed that they got through the arraignment without some of this information getting out yet.
I think it's worth mentioning, too, that you said he was out on parole. And was this from the crime that he committed as a juvenile but was charged as an adult?
So, yes, the prison sentence was still with that.
Okay.
But he had a court case coming up on August 25th, I think, for some charges that he garnered while in state custody. One of them being attempted first-degree murder.
This may be a good time to mention this, unless you were going to get to it later, and if you were, stop me. But Attorney General Pickens had written a letter encouraging them to deny his parole
Yeah.
and listed out very specific reasons why, in very strong language. Did that was that brought up at any point in this timeline, or
Not, not. I mean, the only time that I've really seen that was other news outlets like Burt and Talking West TN, which I'll give their guy Kiefer Ingalls a lot of credit. He, some people said he got lucky, and yeah, he did, but it's not necessarily luck if you're staying out there in the middle of it. So while I was over here covering city council, he was over there right next to the apprehension in real time. So kudos to him for being on top of that. But yeah, but they put out on Friday afternoon after the initial TBI press conference where they announced that they had found the car that they were searching for the first couple of days in Jackson. That letter kind of came out about the same time, or right after, right before, something like that. So, and I meant to talk to General Pickens at the Tuesday press conference about it, but I was getting interviews with the JPD officers and the Lake County Sheriff. General Pickens, he was a quick player on the basketball court for a big guy, and he's
really quick.
I've been told. I've been told.
Hey, he was really good. He was an athlete.
Yeah.
I've taken many elbows from him on the basketball court.
Well, he's good at quickly getting out of a press conference as soon as it's over. So.
You still got some skills then.
Yeah. He's quite the elusive person for a person his size.
So on August 1st is when there were possible multiple sightings of Drummond, and he was a person of interest. They found the car you mentioned over there on, it's not Moisey Cutoff, what's MCO. At the dead end of MCO. And then from that point on, from Friday, August 1st, he was out in the wild of, he had to make his way from that area somehow to the other side of the city, to the western side, because MCO is sort of on the eastern side of Jackson, the northeastern side.
Yeah.
It's east of Highland.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so
it's in that area between Highland and Old Medina Road. So, yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah,
I know I had to look like I disagree, but I wasn't really disagreeing.
I mean, that's a trek if he did do that by foot all the way over to where he ended up being apprehended several days later. To move on foot, if that was the case, that far at night, like he had to cover some miles, cover some ground.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that he was over in that area Monday morning. So we're looking at 5 miles over the course of 60 hours. So,
but I would expect not moving all the time. I mean,
of course not. No.
Strategically moving.
Yeah, I imagine he did all of his movements when it was dark, and he probably waited until not only was it dark, but was everybody already in bed.
Yeah.
But also, there's a reason that the 3 other people are in jail right now too, connected to him. Sure, he got a little bit of help. I don't know if he slept on their couch or if they just provided resources for him. That's more information that'll come out on Thursday at the Swords hearing. But yeah, he this was, and I don't. I nearly wrote this a couple of times, but I pulled back because I didn't want to sound disrespectful of the situation. But for lack of a better term, he played a masterful game of hide and seek with about 5 or 6 different law enforcement agencies over the course of on both ends of a weekend.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that was something that surprised me because not to jump ahead, but by Sunday after they had found his car, my assumption was he's long gone. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
I even
mine
said
too.
as much in a group text that we were on. I said, I mean, if they hadn't got him here, then he's he's long gone, and that wasn't the case. So on August 2nd, this is when they arrested at least one of the accomplices. Was that the first arrest of the accomplices around that time? Let
What
me.
day did we talk last week? Was it Sunday night that we
It,
recorded, or was it Saturday
it was
night?
Saturday because you get the TBI alert right when we were
Yeah,
recording, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah. So they announced Tanaka Brown on Saturday morning being arrested, and then Saturday night when we first started recording the podcast, they announced Giovante
Mm-hmm.
Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
and then Monday morning they put it out officially in a press release late Monday morning, early Monday afternoon. But um, the Richardson Media Group, the company that owns the Jackson Post, they also own the Lake County Banner, and we had a person who was in um, court that morning, um, and I guess Brown and Thomas were appearing in court that morning for their arraignments, and they announced during that they had arrested who we would find out later was Deara Sanders, Dara Sanders, however you pronounce her first name. Um, so we've got three people connected to the actual situation. I don't know if there's allegedly connected to the murders or connected to the eluding of law enforcement, but they're connected to this, and they're in jail
Do we know
now.
what charges they were? What were the charges that they were picked up on? Do,
Um, After the fact, um, first degree murder, accessory after the fact.
okay,
Um,
so they had
and
enough
then
information at that point to know that. Okay.
yeah, and not everybody. I know Brown, and I think one of the other two may have a charge of tampering with evidence.
Hmm.
I don't have uh, that information right in front of me, so if I'm wrong on that, y'all super sleuths who like to hang out in Love and Truth's parking lot for hours on end, feel free to correct me on that. My apologies.
So all of that happened over the weekend, and it was like no one saw neither hide nor hair of Austin Drummond all over the weekend. But then Monday, everything just blows up, for lack of a better term, out north. What
Mm-hmm.
was the original tip? Do you know? Do you happen to know what the original tip was that sent all the SWAT out there, or did we just all of a sudden see that those roads were closed and law enforcement was fanning out into the woods?
So as I was, it was about what 10:30 or 11 that video surfaced online of JPD SWAT team walking through, I guess what we would call the backyard of West Jackson Baptist Church toward those woods on Pleasant Plains. Within an hour after that, Pleasant Plains is shut down at the Olwell Road intersection and Country Club Lane exit. So essentially, one end at the edge of campus, Union University, and then the other um, closing was at the edge of West Jackson Baptist Church campus. Um, as I was driving into town to do whatever it was I was going to do, I was making calls to people I know at Union and being like, "Hey, are y'all under lockdown or anything like that?" And multiple people, and then finally Tim Ellsworth on the record for me, um, said we're not under lockdown, but JPD has advised um, lock all the exterior entrances and exits to every building. Um, but everybody that was in those buildings were free to move about the building. Wasn't like you got to stay in your office or else we'll shoot you if we see you in the hallway. Wasn't anything like that. Uh, but if you left the building, you were going to need your key to get back in. So make sure you brought your key with you. Um, I hesitate to say what I'm about to say, but I'm not going to print with it. This is the podcast after the fact. So Um, I had been told that the cell phone that they had on record for him at the time pinged
Hmm.
from Cherry Grove Apartments, which is right at the edge of Union's campus. If you take what I call the back way, or not
Mm-hmm.
the side entrance in, I've always seen the or viewed the entrance there at Starbucks as like the main entrance into campus. I could be wrong about that. You're an alum. Tell
I
me if
am. I
I'm
always
wrong there.
thought the one by Van Gardens was the main one. That's the one I always took. Like the one on the back side by the baseball field was
Okay,
the one that I
off of
always
Country
used.
Club.
Off the country club.
Okay,
Man, so I know that you didn't go to print with this, and so maybe this is conjecture too, but
yeah.
I cannot believe he'd be still using that same cell phone. Like, man, like that's awfully stupid. I mean, honestly, but
I don't think he was. Well, I've been told he wasn't. Um,
okay.
Now, how reliable that info is, I don't know. But when JPD Chief Tom Corley and TBI Director David Roush talk about evidence and technology, um, I may be reading it wrong, but I'm kind of reading between the lines that they kind of had a beat on where he was,
Yeah.
and they kind of knew where to look. And we don't know what information they got from Brown and Thomas on Saturday that helped them locate him, helped them locate him by Monday. Um, so maybe he didn't use the same phone.
Right.
Um, I mean, because he's smart enough to pull off some stuff that he pulled off while he was in prison.
Right.
So I mean, unless he just got desperate and sloppy and was trying to get out of town as soon as possible, and was going to do it however he could. I don't. I have a hard time seeing him getting sloppy that quick.
So what made you decide to go out there and go live? Like, was it the video you saw, like the police presence, or them shutting down the roads? Like, okay, this is close enough now to where I need to go out there.
So yeah, if you go back and watch the live, I go out there. I kind of say, "Hey, y'all, this is going on," and as I'm driving out there, I'm remembering back to the first big story that I covered after I moved over from sports to news at the Sun, and that was the tragedy that happened in Las Vegas, where the shooter shot from a hotel room high up into a country music festival, and we had the young man from Big Sandy who was one of those that were killed in it, and that following Saturday night when his remains were being brought back home. I remember just setting up camp in the town of Big Sandy and just going live from there. And we were essentially just waiting on a line of law enforcement vehicles and a hearse to come through town. We didn't know when they were coming, um, but my bosses in Nashville knew there's going to be a lot of interest, so come up with something to do. And I did. I went live that night, and I just kind of talked and was showing the crowd who was lined up and discussed the situation and kind of updated the situation at that point. To and the engagement that I got that night got me kudos from not just my bosses in Nashville, but their bosses in
Mm.
uh, Virginia, uh, from Gannett headquarters. So I said, okay, well, this is a situation where people care, and it's not just Jackson, Madison County, and Dyer County, Lake County. This is uh, this is big time national. So let's go live. And I was expecting when I hit the live button, I was expecting to only be going live for maybe 10 minutes at the most, because there wasn't really much to talk about. We got about 50 cars in the West Jackson parking lot, West Jackson Baptist Church parking lot. We got a road closing over here at OOL Road. We got a bunch of media assembled over here in Love and Truth Church. And shout out to the Love and Truth staff for bringing water out to the
Mm-hmm.
media people and just letting us. I mean, they could have run us out of their parking lot, and they didn't. So So they were very nice, very Christ-like to us. Thank you for that. So, but I'm like, okay, there's cars. There's some cars with some lights on them. And every now and then you'd hear somebody honk and say, "Hey, Brandon." And I had no idea who it was, but I'm going to wave back. Um, and I've had a few people since and like, "Hey, I was one of them that honked at you." And I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
it was
Okay.
I was focusing on live, and but I tried to wave back, but I didn't know it was you until you told me." So, um, but 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 then I said, "All right, if anybody's got any questions, if I can answer them, I will." Um, and um, and then sure enough, questions started coming in, and that live lasted about an hour. And I enjoyed that part. I mean, it's kind of like Scott Conger,
Yeah.
Mayor Conger, doing his Facebook Live before his city council, where he's answering questions. There were a couple of times where people would ask questions and I'd answer it, and then they'd essentially ask me the same question. It's the same person asking the same question. I wanted to say, "Listen, I can't understand it for you,"
Right.
but
The Conquer line.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was most of the questions were good questions, and people in my line of work, we like to be able to answer those questions for people. So,
It,
so I may try to do that more often from typical stuff here, but if I don't get a lot of engagement, I won't stay on for an hour.
At what point on Monday did TBI or whoever, whatever law enforcement agency was sort of running that, come out and tell y'all, hey, it's a no go. We don't have anything.
They never came right out and just said we don't have anything. Uh, TBI sent their media relations person out probably about 1:30 to let us know that they didn't have anything at that time. But she kept referencing when we catch him. We're going to have a press conference. We may have something here quickly just to kind of give you the basic info, but then we'll have a bigger press conference somewhere else, and we'll let you know. We give you as much heads up about it or as much time to prepare as possible. Which you figure David Roush is going to come for that, and if he's not already here, it's going to take him 2.5 hours to get here, unless he's taking a state plane and landing at Jackson Regional Airport. It's going to be a while, so kind of had that on ready alert as well.
Do you think the media relations person was expecting an imminent capture like that day? Like when she was saying, when we do this, we might have a quick one here? Or it was just more of like, this is inevitable. I just don't know how long it's going to take.
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, it sounded like they were pretty close to him all day Monday.
Right.
They just had to figure out where he was headed, where he's been, and also it doesn't sound like they knew exactly where he'd been, other than, well, now I'm just kind of theorizing based
Yeah.
off of info that I don't want to. I don't that would be even going too far for this, but I mean, she was. I mean, she wasn't adamant, but she sounded firm that we're going to get him. And when I was relaying that to people, and you may have been one of the people I was talking to about it, I was quick to add an asterisk to that, saying it could be one of two things. One, she knows more than what she's saying, which is perfectly understandable. I have no problem with that because I don't expect a football coach to tell me his entire strategy to try to win a football game on Friday or Saturday. Law enforcement don't need to tell us everything that they've got to try to catch a assumed armed and dangerous felon that's on the run, or tell us anything that would screw up the case against him. But either she had information that she wasn't telling us that led her to believe they were about to get him, or she was just towing the company line, which is understandable too. But her message was, when we get him, we will have a press conference. And so it was pretty much up to all of us to decide what we were going to do after that. I put up a couple of updates on the Facebook page, went and got something to eat, and came back to Love and Truth and hung out. Got some photos of TBI agents essentially doing a roadblock at the entrance to Cherry Grove Apartments, where they were stopping every car going in and coming out and questioning the drivers. I think that I saw one trunk getting open.
Oh,
I could be wrong about that. But I mean, it was they were doing their due diligence there. And we saw multiple times the SWAT truck with SWAT officers on it and in it leave West Jackson's parking lot, West Jackson Baptist Church parking lot, onto Olwell, and they didn't take a left going west toward the woods and Pleasant Plains Extended, and that they went east and then turned back onto Union University Drive, going through Thompson Farms to go to Cherry Grove Apartments.
Oh wow! Do you know if between
that's why I have no problem saying why I'm okay with saying that I was told early on that his phone pinged there.
Gotcha.
Could be way off, could be totally wrong, but they got something there apparently. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Do you know that after things sort of calmed down on the 4th, did they keep like groups out and searching all through the night, or when it got dark, did they just kind of back off and regroup and then go back in the next morning?
I had a person that I know that lives in the neighborhood right next to the Union Trails text me about 8 or 9 Monday night on the 4th. And I nearly put it in the timeline, but I didn't, because this person didn't give me the permission to use their name and talk about where they live and all that stuff. But they said, I've got 15 cop cars with their lights on, all parked in the cove at the end of my street, and they're all focused on one house. I think they're about to get him.
Wow.
So, yeah, there was not a lot of activity. I left about 6 and came home because all the law enforcement had left West Jackson. I think some TBI cars came back, but they had left. Some went west into the woods, but the rest of them went east, but they didn't turn back toward Union. It was like they went to the bypass, and either they were going to get dinner or they were going home to get a nap, get some sleep, and then come back refreshed, recharged, and get back on the search. So I took that opportunity to go home.
So August 5th, this is when the call comes in. And I kind of figured that, like, once all that law enforcement was out on August 4th and they seemed to know sort of the area where he was, like, all right, it's just a matter of time. They're going to get him, like, pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but apparently he got sloppy, or like he was out in the open walking and someone spotted him. Is that right? At least from the things that I saw online.
He was in the neighborhood. I don't know if I'd necessarily say he was out in the open.
Okay.
But he's probably walking through some backyards and wooded areas, and the gentleman who says he saw him. It's Tuesday morning in August, about 8:00 in the morning, 8:30, whatever in the morning, and there's a guy just walking with a rifle through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like there is no kind of animal season going on that you should be carrying a rifle around right now, unless you are someone who's worried you're about to run into a guy who killed 4 people or allegedly killed 4 people the week before, and you want to make sure you're protected. But I guess it looked like Mr. Drummond, and so the gentleman, 2 different people called it in, at least 2, and one of them stayed on the line with JPD until they literally closed in on him. 3 officers closed in on him, and he still on the phone with dispatch watching it happen, from the way I understand it.
Wow. Man, this would be a great time to go into the officer interviews that you had, but um, we'll get to that in a second. So he
Okay.
was apprehended a little bit after, or a little before 9 a.m. On
Hmm.
August 5th. So
Yep.
I will say that did was the apprehension fairly calm? Did he try to struggle any? Did he just say, okay, I'm done, like, here are my hands, cuff me?
Yeah, talking with the officers, I asked them that question. I said, did he put up a fight? Did he try to run or anything like that? And they didn't go into the details of the strategy of their search, but it was like some the officers were assigned certain areas. Said keep your eyes open, make sure he doesn't get past you, um, because we've got it on good authority based on the calls that have come in. He's in this area, I guess around the pool house or whatever it was, on the property, and so he's kind of trying to slip out. And one of the officers, Terry, can you look at the story because his last name is totally escaping me at this point.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
Let me pull that. But keep talking while I find it, and we'll give him.
but it was Corey Compton, Caitlin Drown, and Terry. I am so sorry, officer,
Wow.
if
Of
you're
all the
watching this.
times, Brandon, of all the times to get this wrong, and I can't find the dead gum page.
It's on page 2.
Officer Terry. Here we go. Terry Trout.
Terry Trout. I knew it started with a T. Um, I think it was either Compton or Trout who called out Austin's name, and he didn't know that those three were had essentially had him surrounded. They weren't like within arm's reach of him, but um, they were close enough that he's like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere. He didn't have his gun on him for whatever reason at that point,
Whew.
so he wasn't armed, or else that could have gone a lot differently, and ended a lot differently than it did. But I think once he saw that he was surrounded and he wasn't going to get away, he just kind of tapped out.
Did they? We're into the officer interview portion now, so let's just talk about that. Were they
Yeah.
nervous? I mean, I can't. I mean, did they speak to what they were feeling? I mean, because all reports were he's armed and dangerous. He's allegedly killed uh, 4 people. And by the
Right.
way, can we talk about that? Because there are a lot of people who just sort of subverted the entire judicial process on social media and even in the media as well. Even some elected officials
Yeah.
chose. And listen, I'm not trying to nitpick or say this person's innocent because I don't think he is based on what we know. That being
Right.
said, right, like there is a process to this, and one day he might officially be legally a murderer. But
Right.
right now, he's just been accused of that. So
Right.
I know that's nitpicky, but man, I saw that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. Um, on one side, on the responsible journalistic side of it, he is accused. He has not been tried in a court of his peers, and so legally he's assumed innocent until proven guilty. But that don't work on Facebook.
None. But
Uh,
it wasn't
but
just I mean this was I mean I'm not saying it was a media, but it was. And that's another thing. There's a real blurred line now between influencer and media because people can report on anything they want and then they can reshare information to get clicks, even if that information isn't
Mhm,
necessarily updated.
mhm,
That's something that came out of this too that was real fascinating to me following it from the outside, where you had things like that. So, yeah, they weren't official like journalists who had to adhere to certain standards. So they could say
right.
murder instead of accused, or I don't know. That was it was kind of fascinating to watch that play out too.
Well, I mean, pretty much anybody. Myself, the Jackson Sun, WBBJ, WNBJ, the stations in Memphis, Burt Staggs, Talking West TN. I mean, In 2025, we can pretty much do whatever we want to do, because we're most of us have proven we're just going to do whatever we want to do. And I'm not. If you decide to do it different from the way I do it, I'm not. Very rarely will I criticize that publicly. Um, if you want to assume, if you wanted to talk like he's a killer before he's been tried, the only reason I'm not going to publicly criticize that is because 6 different law enforcement agencies wouldn't go to the lengths that they went to get him if they didn't have something that led them to believe he did it. But he still has not been found guilty. That is up to the state and District Attorney David Blackman. David,
Oh.
it starts with a B.
I just know
He's
one
mentioned
DA.
in the
That's all.
Yeah, well, and Jody Pickens is helping, is assisting him on it since the case came into his district as well. My apologies, Attorney General, if I got your last name wrong. It's Sunday night, and it's been a long weekend. So, but it's up to him to try to convince a jury that he is guilty. And but skipping to the arraignment, he's seeking the death penalty. So he definitely thinks that he's the guy that did this.
So, because we are pushing an hour already, and we hadn't even gotten to where we are now, and I do want to make sure that everyone knows where we are now up to this point. So
Yeah,
obviously he was arrested. Um, he's been charged. What was the hearing you went to Thursday in Lake
it was
County?
his arraignment.
It was his
Yeah, it was
arraignment.
his
Okay.
arraignment. He was denied bond, which, according to um, Judge Andrew Cook, the General Sessions Judge for Lake County, and the District Attorney for the 29th Judicial District. Apparently, that doesn't happen. Everybody is granted opportunity for a bond, except for um, a certain set of circumstances. One is a violent capital offense, and there is a lot of evidence suggesting that they are guilty of it. So, and without getting into details, if you know me, you can guess what I'm alluding to here. I have been in Judge Cook's courtroom a few times, and I can tell you that he is probably the most polite, the most professional, the most human judge in his courtroom I've ever been around. And that's not disrespecting any other judge that I've been around, because judges, the ones that I know are good people. But I mean, even Monday, he just kind of came. Most of the time, you don't see the judge until the bailiff says all rise, and he's coming in his robe, and everybody stands up for him, and then he's like, "Be seated," and everybody sits down, and he says, "All right, court's in session." No, he comes in, says hey to everybody like he's a preacher, welcoming everybody to church before service starts. And he knew me from the past times that I've been in his courtroom, and I said, "Hey, y'all put out some media um, regulations on the county's Facebook page yesterday, and I know that there's no cell phones allowed in here, but I'm seeing like 10 media people up on the front row over there. They're all on their phones scrolling on Facebook and playing Royal Match." Um, he said, "Oh yeah, go out to your car, go get your phone." He said, "Now," he was like, "only one person can get video, so don't get video, but others did get video." I said, "I'm only wanting to record the audio and maybe take a couple of stills." He said, "Yeah, go ahead and do that." He said, "And we don't have a jury for this case yet, so go sit in the jury box." I was like, "Okay." And myself and the Sun and NBJ and WBBJ all sat in the jury box looking at everybody else like they were a bunch of peasants in our kingdom. Uh, but you know, but he is legitimately a good guy to the point, and I did see this. I expected him to get some pushback on social media from people who are watching the live feed of the hearing at how professional and courteous he was toward Mr. Drummond, calling him sir, apologizing to him for some delays, thanking him for, I don't remember what he was thanking him for, but I remember him saying thank you to Drummond. But he's just a good, decent, polite, courteous guy, and he doesn't stop being that when he puts his robe on.
Wow. So they're seeking the death penalty, no bond. Now I know he entered a plea of not guilty. Did he verbally say not guilty, or was that just the default because he didn't answer?
Well, he couldn't plead guilty yet because he didn't have an attorney yet.
Okay.
So
that was, okay.
Once, and he's been assigned an attorney. Brian. I forget what Brian's last name is, but he has his own practice. He's a partner in his own practice, and he's based out of Covington.
So is he a
Brian Huffman.
public defender, or did somebody raise money? This is a private attorney, and Austin Drummond hired him?
No, Judge Cook reached out to him before the hearing,
Okay.
saying, "Hey, if he needs a court-appointed attorney, would you be willing to be that guy?" And he said, "Yeah."
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. So this is where we are now. Then Thursday coming up. What are you attending, and what is that going to be?
It's going to be the source hearing, and it's not just Drummond. It is the other three who've been arrested in this case. Now, also in the arraignment on Thursday the 7th, they announced another Jackson individual, a guy by the name of Brandon Powell, who was charged with multiple charges related to being involved with Drummond on June 18th about an incident that had nothing to do with these murders. Apparently, Powell and Drummond were trying to sneak contraband into the prison facility in Tiptonville that included tattoo piercing equipment, a drone, some drug paraphernalia. I don't know if the drone was going to like fly over the prison yard and kind of drop it in, or what they were going to do. But law enforcement got wind of what he was doing, found him before they did it, and apparently they had a car chase. And during the chase, they're dumping stuff out of the car while they're going down the road. So law enforcement got all of that, and I guess they weren't able to file any charges in that case until after they got Drummond, and they got Powell Tuesday evening, I think, is when they put out. Well, they didn't even put out a press release, but because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that there was another guy until Thursday morning at the arraignment. But apparently they apprehended him Tuesday evening.
So what will they do at this source hearing?
Yeah, source hearing. If this goes like a typical source hearing, this is where a lot of the information is going to come out. Why, how the four, more information about how the four were found, what links Drummond to the case, why they think he did it. We'll find out why the other three were arrested, what links them to Drummond, or that's what I expect to hear. I don't have a lot of experience covering this kind of stuff, so I could be way off. It's also possible that Mr. Huffman is going to come into court, nitty gritty, hot and heavy part of a source hearing. He's going to be like, "Look, I just got connected to Mr. Drummond a week ago. We're still trying to get a lot of the early work done for my part of this in the case. can I please get an extension? And and at that point, it'll be up to Judge Cook if he wants to grant that extension, or they go ahead and get into it that day.
So we'll find out. We'll have a lot more next week on actually what takes place at that sort of thing. I'm glad that you're sticking with this, even though technically it's outside of Jackson, but obviously that there's a strong Jackson connection. So all right, we are over an hour already, and it's a school night, and it's 10:30. So here's what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna tease this edition and why you need to get a subscription if you don't have one, so you can go online and read these stories. Here are the ones we didn't get to, but I'm going to give you about like 10 seconds to tell a reader why they should read it in just a very short blurb. Okay, so Christine Chapman with a monument in East Jackson. Who is she? Why'd she get it? In 10 seconds.
A legendary figure in Jackson music history who actually was on her way to making it big and say she made it big. And then she got her life right with Jesus and said, I don't need this lifestyle. I'm going home. And she spent the next 20 or 30 years of her life until she died in 1979 teaching piano or teaching. She could play like 13 different instruments. So it probably wasn't just piano that she taught. And directing choirs mainly for Walnut Grove Missionary Baptist Church. But she was very talented. You could make the argument she's the most talented musician to ever come out of Jackson. That's saying a lot, considering some of the people that have come out of this city.
A lot of people. Yeah. All right. Read all about Christine Chapman. City Council. People did not want something, but it passed anyway. What did they not want on Van Drive and Lane Avenue?
Well, Lane Avenue is closed when it goes through Lane College campus. Wasn't a lot of free public discussion about it because Lane owns both sides of the road on the block that's getting shut down. Here's a tease to it, though. Larry Lowrance, city councilman, he admitted publicly during the meeting, I came into this meeting thinking this vote was going to be a slam dunk, but the case that the people who opposed it that spoke in public comments made and some questions that he had of city planner Stan Pilot that Pilot couldn't answer made him rethink that. He wound up abstaining from voting. So, and then on Van Drive, the big vote that was supposed to happen a month ago that got pulled from the agenda the night before, made it onto the agenda into the meeting this time around. There were some people who opposed it. There were a few who were for it, and by a vote of 5-3. Passed. And when you see the names of the three who opposed it, there's some surprising names there.
Interesting. Okay. And last but not least,
I had multiple people say. I was just going to say I had multiple people ask me later that day who were the three, and I told them, and they were like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah."
So if you want to know who they are, you got to read the paper and you got to subscribe. So
yeah, I'm not telling them here.
Teaser, and I don't know them, even though I got the print edition, but my print edition.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah. Real quick before we get to this last one, during the Austin Drummond stuff, when I put the story out about the interview with the policeman who apprehended him, I had somebody comment, I can't read the story. A big national story like this, you fear you want to make it for free so that people could read it. No, having some wannabe true crime sleuth in Idaho wanted to get information to run without credit to me on their YouTube page and totally mess up the information that I give to them. Giving that to them for free, that does nothing to put money in my pocket. So no, I'm not giving it to you for free. Give me the $3 so you can read my stuff for a week, and then you can read it.
Just pay the $50 for a year. Like, that's nothing. Literally. It's like $4 a month.
Or $40 for a year if you want online only.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or that.
All
okay.
Right.
Sorry, last one. And like, for real, 10 seconds. Okay. JCM, they have a lot more respect this year because they had a deep playoff run and they're sort of back on the map. Is that sort of like, are they using that as like motivation, or is that just like a fact and they know it? Like they can't come in quietly anymore and surprise people. Everybody knows that they're here and they can play.
Well, Coach Eric Turner and the players, they're not necessarily addressing that. They're answering questions when I ask about it. But according to Coach Turner, this offseason is business as usual for him, and he's trying to train his players for it to be business as usual. So the fact that they're not under the radar this year, his preparation tries to not be different. Are you still able to hear me? Because it says reconnecting on my phone.
Yeah, you've been delayed. There's a little lag. But I can hear you still.
Okay. Okay. Um, but uh, so yeah, but they went 9-3 last year, made the second round of the playoffs, and if they had won another game in the regular season, they might have been the region champions, depending on how other games went. In arguably the most balanced region in the entire state at any classification level. So yeah, they made some noise. Fortunately, he already had his non-region schedule already made out before the season started, or else it would have been a whole lot more difficult to make that schedule out after having the season they had last year. So JC, we're not going to call JCM as back because they're not Texas, but yeah, we're they are definitely allegedly on their way back.
They are. They're on their way. It's a good time to be a Cougar. All right. So also, it's a good time to subscribe if you don't, because we did not go in the normal amount of depth about any other story other than Austin Drummond. But I also just think we are reflective of what sort of the tenor of news was for the last week, honestly. So a big part of that story is in this week's paper, along with some other ones that we didn't get too in depth this time. But subscribe, read, and we'll be more balanced next week. Sound good?
Oh,
Wait, what'd you say?
sounds good to me.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Brandon.
I said sounds good to me. All right, thank y'all.
See y'all next week.
See ya.